Today I'm focusing on the electric piano section of the Kawai MP11SE. Stick around. Hi, this is Ted Barsley with Alamo Piano Galleries. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, and also you can shop our website at alamopianogalleries.com and find out more information and availability on an MP11SE, and which is what we're talking about today. And today I'm mostly focusing on the electric piano section, which is kind of like the second part. Last week I had focused with Daniel Veller mostly on just the acoustic pianos, and we got a classical pianist view out of it. What I wanted to talk about today was something that came up while I was playing some of the other Kawai digitals, and it started with the Tyne piano. That was the first thing, because there's not a whole lot of adjustments that you get to make on digital pianos that will affect the non-acoustic piano sounds. Kawai, for example, has 21 different things on their piano virtual technician. You can go in and change damper and string and all this kind of stuff, and hammer noise and damper noise. And most of the manufacturers include that kind of package. But when it comes to the electric pianos, you don't really get that much control on a home digital piano. But on the MP11SE, you have control over. And what I wanted to talk about is, this is what's really cool, is that you still have the grand feel wooden key action and the ivory touch key service. It's a great keyboard to play if you're looking at it as a Rhodes or a Whirly or a DX7 substitute. This is a great thing to have. It's a solid chassis. Yeah, it's a bit heavy to carry around, but at the same time, it's a solid feeling instrument. And I'm mostly talking about the vintage electric piano sounds today, because they also have the effects. There's two different kind of effects you can get going, plus the amp simulator and also the reverb. So that gives you a lot of control over the dynamics of the keyboard, as well as the sampled sound. And that's really what I wanted to talk about. You have a Tyne electric piano 1, a Tyne electric piano 2, Tyne EP3, and then a Reed electric piano 1, Reed EP2, and Reed EP3. Then you have the modern electric piano, which is basically a DX7 sound. You have EP1, EP2, and EP3 on that. Then you also have 2 clavinets and an electric grand sound. And the electric grand sound is kind of interesting, because you have control over the parameters to change some of, not just the effects, but also some of the sustain and decay and stuff like that. I didn't get into a lot of that. I mostly wanted to show what the sounds were like at their original sampled, without any effects on it, other than maybe whatever that the reverb touch would have been on there. And what's nice about this is that it's entirely different from other digital pianos. And there's a bit of complaining I'm going to do here after the sound sample, and most of it is not anything toward Kawai, but maybe toward the entire industry, and it has a lot to do with innovation and the daringness to not innovate in this day and age. But anyway, I want to get into listening to some of these sounds, and what I do is I just play each one of all of the electric piano basic sounds, and then with whatever effects I had set up on them. And some of them have phasers, some of them have chorusing, and some of them have reverb, and then there's a few that have a touch of distortion on it. So let's go ahead and have a listen to some of the electric pianos. I had mentioned the virtual piano technician on the acoustic setting has somewhere around 21 different controllable parameters. On the electric pianos, you only have a handful. They only give you like key off noise and key off delay. However, what's interesting is that this unit comes with the 3-pedal attachment, and the 3 pedals, you have the damper pedal, the sostenuto, and then the sustain. And what I do like about the soft pedal is that it does affect the sample sound. So you do get a reduction in volume, and it's not just like a lower volume. There is a tonal difference. I used the soft pedal a bit on the electric piano just to see how it affects, because it does affect the sound. And so I use that usually when I went up to the higher octaves, because it does take away some of the brightness and some of the piercingness that you get, particularly on the what they call the modern piano, which is the DX7. Sometimes they can get really, really kind of bright in the top end. What I do like about that electric piano, the modern electric piano setting, is that with no effects on it and with just a touch of reverb, it really does have a crystal clarity of a Fender Rhodes sound to it. Most of the ones that I'm used to hearing on songs on the radio over the years has always been a little bit too bright and bell-like, almost like a glockenspiel sound. But at the same time, there is a lot of cool things to play on just a straight-ahead Fender Rhodes sound coming out of a DX7, which is going to be like the modern EP. Now, what I wanted to talk about a little bit is that this section just on the electric pianos, and it's not just Kawai that does this, but Yamaha and Roland and a few of the other manufacturers. And my point is this: for example, Kawai makes a grand piano, they make the Aries, and they make the silent piano, and you get some sounds with that. They also make the digital piano like the NV5S and the 901 and all the way down the 401, 301 series. And Yamaha does the same thing with the CLPs. You get an electric piano sound in the CLP, you get electric piano sound in the Roland home model digital uprights and in the Kawais as well. But you can't do anything with that sound from that source. It's just the sample. There isn't any kind of parameters you can change. There's no way to go in and change the effects. There's no way to get an amp simulation in there, add any kind of distortion. You can't adjust the attack, sustain, decay, and release. And this comes up to my rant. Of all the things that Yamaha makes and Kawai makes and Roland makes in terms of synthesizers, electronic pianos, and even acoustic pianos, there isn't one grandmaster keyboard that contains everything. In other words, you would have to buy for a top-of-the-line Disclavier model, and then probably get a top-of-the-line CLP model, and then probably get some of their one of their portable units and MIDI all those together to have all of their keyboard technology in one unit. And there is room for expansion and there is room for innovation, but I think in this day and age, most manufacturers want to know that we're not going to build something on a whim and put it out, because what if the product doesn't win over? It's not like it was in the 70s, where if you had a design for a synth that was just a little bit different or more unique that separated it from the rest of the product that was available, that thing always sold and did well. And I'm not saying that it's a guaranteed sale, but it would be nice to see something new and innovative come out in the keyboard world other than just adding a soundboard to a digital unit. It would be nice to have some kind of synth parameters, maybe even some analog controls. These have slider buttons and knobs. These things need to be combined with home piano units to start coming out with a more modern, instead of just giving someone a lot of sounds. No one wants that anymore. I want sounds that are there that I can use, but I also want to go in and fool around with them, make my own sounds, or take those sounds and change them around and make them mine. You can't really do that on any kind of home digital piano model, but you can on their separate electronic models. And I think somewhere along the line, there's been too much division and separation of these two products, and we need some more merging. And that's just coming from a consumer that wants to get more bang for their buck and have a lot of more useful studio type parameters and extensions of sounds built into home units that have great sound systems in it, but limited certain kind of parameters. So with that, I have nothing but great things to say for the MP11. It's one of my favorite keyboards. It's a bit heavy to haul around, but once you get it there, you have 3 pedals. You feel like you're playing a real piano. I use these 2 pedals a lot, and especially on an acoustic piano, but when it's available on an electric, it really lets you have some consistency in how you do your voicings on piano, particularly in the high end. It's nice to back off some of the high frequencies and lay back on a treble. Next time, we're going to come up and we're just going to look at the synthesizer section, and I'm going to get into more detail with that. But as a basic electric piano with 3 kinds of tines, 3 kind of reeds, and 3 kind of digital modern electric pianos, 2 clavinets, and 1 electric grand sample in it, plus control over the effects, 2 different kind of effects, an amp simulator and reverb separate. This is one of the most fully loaded, we're going to get to the Nords, fully loaded digital pianos that are out there, and I really enjoy playing it. It's got a great action in it, and it's really tough to beat. Check online at alamopianogalleries.com, see what availability is, and also check out some of our other videos. There's going to be a partner video for this on acoustic pianos. Today I covered electric pianos, and next time I'm looking at doing the synth section. Until then, we thank you so much for your time, and keep playing, and we'll talk to you and see you soon.